Hello, this is Jason P. Wilson, Zero and X-Force, and this is my comic pick of the week, along with honorable mentions for the week of October 5th, 2011, and today is the 8th. It is Saturday. So first up here is my pick of the week. Now you're going to notice that two of the comics I'm showing today were not in my comic poll list, and the reason is after I got done reading and posting my comics, I noticed that I had a very important comic missing, and that was Action Comics number 2. I immediately contacted my comic store because I got some friends there, and I was like, hey guys, I really hope that you still have one because it was supposed to be pulled for me. It's in my saver. They felt bad about that, so luckily they were able to find an issue because I know it was sold out in a lot of areas. So, I'm going to have to start bringing a list with me and double checking. That way I don't miss some of these great comics that are, my last name's Wilson, like I mentioned, so if they start running out, sometimes I get left out. So that kind of sucks, but luckily they're really nice there, and they usually have my back when it comes to trying to find an issue that's missing. And I was really glad because both the issues I picked up ended up being two of my favorite comics, and one of them being my pick of the week. The other comic I also picked up had been in my saver for a while, and I just decided to go ahead and pick it up at the same time. And I was glad because it ended up being really a great comic. So first, let's concentrate on my pick of the week, and that is Superman Action Comics number 2. I actually like this issue better than the first one, and I like that one quite a bit. I really liked where the last issue left off, and I like what they were doing with Lex, and I like how he's been here at the ground floor of what they're doing to Superman. It's really going to take this classic rivalry between these two characters and the hatred they've always had for each other, and really start you off from ground zero on that relationship. So I like that. I really like what Grant Morrison is doing with Superman right now, and let me just show you this really intense image of the stuff that's happening to Superman right now. That really shows you straight up they're not being nice to Superman at all, and we're getting to see some interesting things that's happening here between some of these classic characters. So I really like what they're doing there, and they definitely are going in a direction that makes it very interesting. Another thing I like is I like that they're finally explaining why Superman's costume is going to be, invulnerable to conventional type weapons and fire and stuff. That's something that's never really been explained. Superman, that I know of, he's indestructible, but for some reason, I think there was this thing where they said that his aura would come off his body a few inches, and that's why his costume never got ripped up and stuff. So, but it was never truly explained more than just a couple times. I like from the get-go, Morrison is explaining right away why Superman's uniform, his costume, what it means to him, and why it's indestructible. So here we have them just testing the heck out of the Superman cape, which he's wearing. Now, of course, at this point, he only has his cape. The rest of his clothes are being ripped and mangled through the action that he's been doing. But the only thing that's been indestructible, along with himself, is his cape. And I really like how they're explaining that. Also, I don't like, but it's interesting how they're testing Superman's powers. It's really jacked up. It's classic Lex, and it's really well done. This was a page turner for me. I even like the reaction to what's going on, the interrogation and the torture on Superman, how Clark is dealing with it. To me, it felt really real, And I liked how, even though this is a very powerful superhero, I like how they have grounded him. And to me, he's always been relatable to me because I always liked his attitude. Even though his attitude at this point is very different than the Superman we know, there's a reason for it and you understand it. I still hope that we're going to get the classic Superman attitude that we've all grown to know and love eventually. Right now, he's brasher, and he has good reason. He's young, and these things are happening to him, and he's trying to figure out himself. And these people are doing things against his will. So it completely makes sense. But I definitely hope that eventually we get the Superman that we know and love. Here he gets his cape back, and then he discovers something of great importance, and I love the scene of him interacting with it, and the crystals and everything. I really like this. This was a great moment in this comic. Some more great scenes as well. The whole thing was just a page turner, and I was really digging it. I love this scene here where he's all beat up, and then of course Lois here sees him in this. He's kind of all beat up and giving him kind of a smiling smirk. This is not the Superman that we know, so I thought it was a really great shot of the way that she sees him at this moment. It's great. Yes, a really good comic. Now, I would have enjoyed a few more pages of the story rather than it ending here and then us getting, even though this is interesting, all these notes on the last two issues, there's quite a bit of it in here. And I would have rather, for the price tag, and then of course we get the Batman Noel preview. For the price tag, I would have $3.99. I would have rather had all those pages filled with story that I bought rather than these extras. I mean, I was a little disappointed that this ended up being $3.99. I was hoping that both Justice League and Action Comics would be $3.99 for the first issue, and then it would go back to $2.99. But it looks like it might be staying at $3.99. And that's fine as long as you don't give us all this filler at the end. I want more of the actual comic. But it was still my pick of the week. A great second issue. And I'm really liking what Morrison is doing here. Alright, next up is Detective Comics. Now, everyone loves action for the most part. But Detective is a hit and miss for most people. I love this cover, by the way, even though it doesn't have much to do with what's going inside. I still like the cover. So it started off, I wasn't too happy. I was like, alright, well, that's fine, I guess. I did like this stuff going on here. This reporter, this is pretty funny. This is classic Bruce Wayne stuff. She's like, I don't like you looking at me like with the way you're looking at me. My eyes are up here, blah, blah, blah. Though, of course, she is just meaning the opposite of what she is saying. So that was kind of funny. But other than that, I was really wanting them to get to the good stuff. And luckily, it wasn't too long before they did. A really great two-page splash here. And then boom, from there it just gets really good. I really like what you're doing with Gordon here. I won't say it's quite as good as what they're doing with Gordon in Batman #1, Scott Snyder, but it's pretty close. Also, I like this art style. I mentioned that before. I like how they work the action in. To be honest, I think the action is a little hit and miss. Sometimes it's really good, and other times I don't feel the motion. Like a lot of artists are really able to catch the motion and the kinetic energy of the motion in their action panels. But this artist, sometimes will, and other times it'll feel a little flat. But that's okay. The rest of it was quite enjoyable. I definitely like these images. I think he's best drawing Batman when Batman is not in motion, when he's in detective mode or stealth mode. That's when he draws the best. When Batman's in action like this, I think that it's just okay. I don't feel the energy of the impacts and stuff like that. Like, stuff like this. It's just okay. But still, I like the villains. And then, of course, this is a new villain. And this new villain, I think, really fits great in the rogue gallery of Batman. And I really like what they did with that. And, of course, here is the new villain. Really creepy. And I'm really interested to see where they're going to go with this. So this was definitely an honorable mention for me. And I guess you don't want to see this ending there. That was pretty... I'm sure it won't end up being what we think it is, the ending, the shocking cliffhangers it seemed to be having here with Detective. But I still liked it, and I'm looking forward to next issue. Definitely an honorable mention. Okay, so those were my favorite DC for the week. Now here's my favorite Marvels. This is the one that I picked up that was in my saver. I really liked Captain America and Bucky, as well as the Captain Americas. I dropped them from my saver just because they usually have a few extra every week. So I figure I'll go ahead and pick them up until it's time not to pick them up. I won't have to worry about having to if they're in my saver. So I finally picked this up because I was picking up Action, and you have to spend at least a certain amount to use your ATMs. I was like, okay, I'll pick it up. And man, was I glad. This one, I really like the coloring. The artwork is good and the writing is good, but the person that's doing the coloring, let's see, now I'm going to try and pronounce that, but doing a really, really good job. I mean, okay, first of all, we're watching the reel, so it's black and white. It's cool. It's really putting you in, and then bam, we start off where we left off last issue, which was very good, and the color and the art has always been good. I've been praising it, but this issue, it was especially good. Every time I turn the page, the classic style of this golden age type storytelling, but with a realistic edge, and then this fantastic coloring. I mean, look at that coloring. I hope it's coming across on the video the way it is. It's just beautiful. It's just a real page turner. Every page was just a pleasure, and I found myself just intrigued, almost wishing there was no advertisements at all, so I wouldn't be distracted by this ugly advertisements, and I could just look at this beautiful coloring in this book. Exceptional work here, and I am definitely picking up this story arc from Captain America and Bucky on tradeback, because it's a good story, it's very good artwork, and it is fantastic coloring. This reminds me that it's not just the artist and the writer that makes a book great. The person that's in charge of doing the coloring and choosing what colors are going to work, they can really make an impact that is just as important as the writer and the penciler. Just a beautiful, beautiful job here. I mean, I really can't express it enough. So this was absolutely a pleasure to read, and is definitely on my honorable mentions list. Captain America and Bucky, issue 622. Fantastic. And last up here is another honorable mention. I would say Captain America and Bucky and X-Men Schism here were the closest to giving Action Comics #2 a run for its money. because these were fantastic comics. First off, we start off right where we left off with the Sentinel coming and a cheap shot by Cyclops to Wolverine. Now, I mentioned this before, even though I'm on Wolverine's side, I like Scott, and I sort of understand his point of view. I just don't get why he doesn't understand Wolverine's point of view. It's one thing to be strong on your convictions. It's not another thing to completely dismiss someone else's. So, that's the only issue that I had, but everything else was just really good. The action on this is fantastic. This is kind of what I wanted with the action in Detective. You really see the impacts of the action, the motion. Everything is really really well done. Now, of course, we've had a different artist on every book, and that gets the comic coming out very quickly. But sometimes it puts you out of the story. But this particular time with Schism, I felt all the artists did a great job, and because they didn't mix it up inside the issues like they've done before, I didn't mind the different artists and everyone. In fact, this artist on the last issue I thought was great. Here's the optic blast to the face of Wolverine as his face is like totally getting melted off. Of course, we all know he's going to be fine because he can heal through anything. But then he gets in a few good ones on Cyclops. Yeah, I would have liked Cyclops to get a few more, but, you know, they didn't do that. Here, the art changes, and, you know, but it didn't really pull me out too much. I still was enjoying it. I don't usually like it when it changes that drastically, but I thought it was paced well, and I was enjoying the story so much that any small issues I would have had with that really didn't bother me at all. But I will say this, you know, Marvel, when you're putting out these comics and you're charging this top dollar for them, and you know we're going to buy them because we love the storylines and the characters, you do need to be better about that. I mean, you know, there really isn't any reason for these type of issues. They easily can be, well, I'm not a professional, I don't know, but I would think they could easily be changed. But, you know, again, a minor gripe for what was a really good issue to a really good X-Men event. I also, you know, here's the other thing, you know, total disrespect from Cyclops, so I wasn't digging Cyclops' attitude. I really liked, you know, the split up. The more I read it, the more I liked the way they split the teams. I would have liked a few other characters, key characters, going with Wolverine, but I felt it was well done, very well done. And I'm sure there'll be people going back and forth between teams. So we ended up going to, of course, the original school for the gifted of Xavier, and that's where Wolverine and his X-Men are going to be based out of. So that was really, really a good way to end this good event, and I was quite pleased. So yes, those are my honorable mentions and my comic pick of the week. So I was curious if you guys picked up these titles, and if you did, which of these you really liked, and I'm really curious what your guys' pick of the weeks are. So with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.